Love hasn't always been as straightforward and as direct as it is today. Imagine a time when love was all about noble quest, to admire and honor someone even if they were out of reach. Well, this happened to be the norm during the Middle Ages, and it was called courtly love. To understand why Sir Lancelot never made a move on King Arthur's wife Guinevere, you must first understand this courtly love and the powerful queen who helped to spread it across Europe. Let's go back to where it all began. Courtly love began towards the end of the 11th century in southern France, thanks to poets called troubadours. These guys were like medieval rock stars. They performed songs about love, longing, and devotion in the courts of nobles. Troubadours believed in something called fin amour, or refined love. This wasn't about passion or marriage. It was about admiration from afar. And the idea spread quickly, becoming the talk of noble courts across Europe. But how did it go from being a local trend to a European-wide phenomenon? That's where one incredible woman came in. Her name was Eleanor of Aquitaine, one of the most powerful women of the Middle Ages, and a major reason courtly love became so popular. Eleanor grew up in southern France, where troubadour culture was thriving. She was a patron of the arts and a huge supporter of troubadours. So, when she married King Louis VII of France in 1137 and became queen, she brought that culture with her to the French royal court. She loved the idea of courtly love so much that she encouraged poets and storytellers to write about it. But their marriage ended in 1152 because she couldn't give him a male child. 8 weeks later, she married King Henry of England in a ceremony that was described as being without the pomp and didn't befit their rank. With her influence stretching across two major kingdoms, Eleanor's love for poetry and courtly love spread far and wide. Her husband, Henry II, was occupied with his own affairs after escorting Eleanor to England, so her court became a center of chivalry and the troubadour culture. This evolved further into the tradition that in conjunction with her daughter from her first marriage, Marie of Champagne, she presided over what became known as the Court of Love. This court was where noblewomen would sit and listen to the quarrels of lovers and act as a jury to the questions of the court that revolved around acts of romantic love. Eleanor then worked with her daughter's chaplain, who was also a writer, to create rules governing courtly love. She continued with the Court of Love till she was imprisoned in 1174 over a conflict King Henry II had with his son Henry. Andreas Capellanus, her daughter's chaplain, wrote The Art of Courtly Love. Andreas laid out the 31 rules of courtly love. The rules state as follows. So when writers like Chrétien de Troyes first wrote the early version of King Arthur and his knights during the 12th century, he had to add a sprinkle of courtly love to the story. Sir Lancelot was the perfect scapegoat. He was in love with Guinevere, a woman he could never have, forbidden love, but he still devoted himself to her wholly while still serving her husband, his king. As time went on, courtly love started to evolve. During the Renaissance, writers like Shakespeare added their own twists. Like in Romeo and Juliet, it's a story of intense forbidden love. Even today, while knights and castles are long gone, the spirit of courtly love lives on. Every time someone gives a rose, writes a love letter, or makes a romantic gesture, they're keeping the tradition alive. Also, unfulfilled love stories and the idea of love making us better people all trace back to courtly love. Does courtly love still matter in our world today? Sure, it's a little over the top by today's standards, but it reminds us of the importance of respect in admiration and love. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more magical journeys into history. Until next time, keep love noble and true.